So, Nisolo's approach to sustainability goes beyond the brand itself. And your most recent and perhaps largest project to date in this realm is the Sustainability Facts Label. So, can you tell us what exactly this label is all about and what it aims to do, what the goals are?
Definitely. Yeah, and this label has been a joy to work on. It is by far the biggest thing we've ever done as a brand, and we've been developing it now for several years. And I think it'll be interesting and helpful too to share even before kind of what it is and what it looks like, to share a little bit of the context of kind of why we did this and why we feel like it's important. So I want to paint a broad picture of kind of the why to kick us off. So think about the phone in your hand right now, or the clothes that you're wearing today, the car you drive, if you drive a car. From megabytes to miles per gallon, we know a lot about the products that we buy and that we purchase kind of day to day, but almost nothing about the hundreds of hands that they touch or the thousands of miles they travel before our products actually get to us. And so we as consumers, largely, we're very much in the dark, while at the same time our dollars are funding these broken industries around the world. And this lack of transparency, we see it causing several significant problems, especially in the fashion industry, as it relates to social and environmental impact. And so we all want sustainable to actually mean something that's more comprehensive and that has a concern and focus for both people and planet. But we've seen the industry really move in a direction that is not nearly comprehensive enough. And so we recognize that without true transparency around social and environmental impact, the fashion industry can't change. And this is because we know that without accountability, there's no change. And we also know that without transparency, there's no accountability. And so, all that to say, without a radical amount of unprecedented transparency, fashion won't be able to change. And this is why we realized we needed to make a label. When we think about the nutrition facts label, we knew that it's had a tremendous impact on transparency in the food and beverage industry. The fashion industry, is nowhere near to has been nowhere near to bringing anything like this to the market, whereas that nutrition facts label has been around since the early 90s. And the attempts that have been launched, kind of labels that have been launched frequently, quite frankly, the more we saw that most were falling short of ensuring the protection of people and the planet. A lot were only emphasizing, one or two core areas of sustainability where we feel there's a much broader range that I'll get into that we feel needs to be addressed. And so, all that to say, we believe it's time that the transparency we get for the food we put in our bodies exists for the clothes that we put on our bodies. And that's really what this is all about. The point isn't perfection. We believe it's about progress over perfection. This is about being honest as well. And it's about unprecedented transparency with all of our stakeholders. And so, with that said, I want to just share what this is, high level. High level, it's a comprehensive product label that covers 5 categories across people, and then 5 categories across planet. And so for people, what the sustainability facts label is assessing is wages and payment, health and safety, governance and workers' rights, gender equality and empowerment, and healthcare and benefits. Those are kind of the 5 most important areas when we look at what the industry is evaluating, when we see who's being impacted within our own supply chain. Those are kind of the 5 core areas that we feel are most important to be addressing. And then for the planet, this label is looking at a product's carbon footprint. It's looking at its raw material integrity and durability, processing and manufacturing. How is that product made, packaging and distribution, and then post-use product life cycle. And so I think one of the biggest problems with the fashion industry today is that there's so many different certifications and a lot of broad sweeping claims that oftentimes leave the end consumer pretty confused. I think that brands are confused, manufacturers as well have been confused, and one of the biggest things that's been missing is just a simple place to look that comprehensively articulates these core social and environmental issues that need to be assessed from both a people and planet perspective within supply chains. And so that was what we were really trying to get across with this label. You'll be able to see on our website and our packaging as well. This label exists on all Nisolo made products, and so all of our product pages, any footwear accessory item on the website that's Nisolo branded, it has this in the lifestyle images, and you can also see it if you scroll down into the sustainability accordion as well. And you'll see a grade across all of those areas. And then what really makes this unique, it doesn't just have that breadth of the 10 categories, the 5 in people and the 5 in planet. But if you click to see further, it actually also has 200 individual data points where you'll be able to see what does this product actually meet and what does it not meet when it comes from a people and planet perspective. There's 92 data points in people and then 108 in planet. And so it's one of the most transparent things that we've gotten to do, and we're just trying to be really honest about what is this product doing and what is it not doing, and we're holding ourselves accountable in that too, inviting our customers to keep us accountable to making improvements all the time.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, when I looked at the methodology page and I looked more into the sustainability facts label, it's just really, I mean, it's so impressive how much that you've considered in this process. I mean, it goes so wide and so deep and has a depth and breadth, as you mentioned. And it's just above and beyond many of the labels that are out there today. And I want to get more into that. But first, I just wanted to ask a few clarifying questions. So, like, we're all on the
Mhm.
same page here. And the first is, does Nisolo offer any sort of seal of approval or anything like that when it comes to the sustainability facts label? Like, is it, um, a certification in that sense where like this brand is now Nisolo approved?
Yeah, great question. Quick answer is no. This is not, we don't offer a seal of approval. This methodology is meant to empower consumers to make better choices and to invite brands like us to strengthen our approaches to sustainability. And so the intention is that any brand could run with this format and run with this methodology and apply it to their products and product line. We're by no means a third party certifier. So, no to that.
Okay. And then another question is the sustainability facts label an overarching label system for brands or for individual products or maybe collections? Like, at what level does it, I don't want to say certify, but what level does it assess?
Yeah, totally. So the label is targeted towards individual products. It isn't it like while many certifications that assess a brand as a whole are important, like a B Corp or Remake and others that are in the industry, we felt it was really important to make this a product specific label so that consumers can make those kinds of product based comparisons as opposed to just brands as a whole.
Okay. And that is definitely something unique because I feel like certifications are often either about the brand and they're really, they have a lot of breadth and they go really in detail about the brand, like B Corp, or it's about the product, but it's just like one attribute of the product. Like maybe it's organic or it's fair trade or it's, was tested against these toxic chemicals, but there isn't anything that's like assessing like has a lot of breadth that is assessing the product. And so I feel like I'm getting into the next question I have for you here. But in in your view, what makes the sustainability facts label different from what else is on the market today? Because as we know, there are a lot of certifications, labels, standards, etc. in the fashion industry.
Definitely. Yeah. And I want to start answering that question by just kind of first saying, in many ways, we wish we didn't need to create another label because we recognize that the industry is so saturated with labels and standards and assessments currently. There's dozens of them on the market, if not hundreds at this point. And so, one of kind of the classic questions we've gotten throughout the process is even, why create another label to begin with? There's really three reasons for that. We felt like a lot of while extremely necessary, these kinds of in-depth certifications that look at things specifically at the product level, while they're certainly necessary, we felt like a lot are not necessarily holistic or comprehensive enough. And so that was one reason why we put this out. Another major reason is that a lot of standards and certifications that are moving in the direction of more holistic reporting and labeling aren't in front of consumers yet. We've always been passionate about giving consumers power in this space and supporting them in their journey towards just being more ethical in what they wear and what they consume as well. And so we wanted to get something that was consumer facing. And then kind of the last kind of major gap that we saw as we looked at and researched various labels and standards was that many just simply aren't that digestible. I think a lot of consumers tend to get lost. It's hard to know what a certain badge means, or what a certain aspect of a certification means. And so for us, what really differentiates the label from others that are on the market right now are the primary thing is really, to me, it's digestibility. A customer can look at this label and quickly understand, oh, these are the 10 core things that I need to be considering when when I purchase a garment or a piece of apparel. And so it's that matter of digestibility. And then the two other things, the next one being breadth, just looking at those 10 core issues, whereas a lot of other labels are only covering one or two. And then the next one being depth as well. We actually have a QR code on the back of every label on our physical products. And so a customer, when they receive a pair of Nisolos, can scan that QR code and then see exactly what that product qualifies for and doesn't qualify for. So the score you see on the front or on the product page, it's not just a randomized score. A customer can quickly scan that and see, how we arrived at a 92%, for example, for wages and payment.
Yeah,